He doesn't chase noise, applause, or the glow of constant attention. Instead, Sam Heughan steps into silence, and what he finds there is far more charged than anyone expects. In a world where celebrities fight to be seen, where fame feeds on oversharing, instant reactions, and endless visibility, Sam has chosen a path that feels almost defiant. He doesn't post every thought. He doesn't explain every move. And when the world grows louder, he doesn't lean forward. He pulls back. He disappears into quiet. And that quiet, it turns out, isn't empty. It's loaded. It's intentional. It reveals a version of Sam Heughan that fans rarely glimpse. Because when Sam goes silent, he isn't resting. He isn't switching off like most people do. He's observing, listening, rehearsing. He replays conversations, memories, fragments of dialogue, half-formed ideas. While others scroll or distract themselves, Sam sits alone by a window seat, lips barely moving, face shifting with emotion as if entire scenes are unfolding inside his head. To a stranger, it might look unsettling. A man speaking to himself, eyes fixed on nothing. But to Sam, this is where the real work happens, and where the drama truly begins. Silence for him isn't peace. It's pressure. It's the place where characters are born, where doubts surface, where ambition and exhaustion quietly collide. On trains, planes, in hushed carriages where no one is supposed to make a sound, Sam breaks the unspoken rule. Not with noise, but with intensity. He mouths his lines. He pulls faces. He half covers his mouth, aware that someone might notice, and keeps going anyway. Because stopping would mean facing something else entirely. Stillness. Those who know him well admit the truth. Sam Heughan is terrible at doing nothing. Silence doesn't soothe him. It exposes him. It strips away the distractions and forces him to confront what noise usually hides. That's why he keeps moving. Running without music. Traveling without screens. Riding motorcycles across vast landscapes with nothing but his thoughts for company. The silence follows him everywhere, and he allows it. What's truly startling is how deliberate it all is. This isn't a man crushed by fame. This is a man managing it, shaping it, choosing quiet as armor in a world that demands constant performance. While fans speculate, project, and fantasize, Sam steps back, says nothing, and lets the noise grow without him. And it does. People fill the gaps with rumors, theories, and assumptions, while Sam watches it all from behind the glass of a train window, in a plane seat, in a private moment no one else is invited into. That's the part no one warns you about. When someone like Sam Heughan goes silent, it isn't because there's nothing to say. It's because there's too much. And once you understand what he really does in that quiet, how he thinks, how he prepares, how he escapes, you realize the truth is far more compelling than any headline, and far more dangerous. In the soft hush of a train carriage, where voices fall to whispers and the rhythm of the tracks becomes a kind of meditation, Sam Heughan opens a rare window into how he thinks, travels, works, and ultimately, how he lives. There's something disarmingly intimate about hearing him talk this way. Not on a red carpet. Not beneath studio lights. But seated by a window, watching the world slide past, suspended between one destination and the next. When Sam boards a train, he knows exactly where he wants to be. If he can choose, it's always a window seat, preferably on his own. Not out of arrogance, but necessity. That small pocket of space becomes his bubble. A place to work, to read, to think, or simply to vanish into sleep. Sometimes it's a script, sometimes a book, sometimes nothing at all except the motion of the journey itself. For Sam, train rides aren't wasted time. They're productive, almost sacred. They're where lines are learned, quietly, carefully. He doesn't speak 'em out loud, but if you watch closely, you'll see his lips move, his hand drift up to cover his mouth, his expressions flicker as he runs entire scenes through his mind. To an outsider, it might look strange. A man talking to himself. But to an actor, it's work in motion. He laughs about how odd it must seem from the outside. Learning lines means pulling faces, shifting emotions, staring into empty space. But for Sam, there's no better place to do it. A train gives him movement, isolation, and just enough distance from the world to focus. That shared ritual of actors learning lines reminds him of moments that still linger with him. Once, On a flight, he found himself near Denzel Washington, quietly repeating a single line over and over again. Sam was convinced he was witnessing something special, even if he never did recognize that exact line in any of Denzel's films later. And then there was Al Pacino. On another flight, Pacino sat across from him, script in hand, calmly reciting Shakespeare as the plane lifted into the sky. Not whispering, performing, lines from The Tempest filling the cabin. Blow, wind, come on. Sam pulled out one earphone and listened, transfixed for the entire flight. It was theater at 30,000 feet. When they landed, Sam worked up the nerve to approach him. He tapped Pacino on the shoulder, maybe a little too abruptly, and startled him. Pacino spun around, half shocked, half amused. Sam introduced himself, awkward but genuine, and told him how much he admired his work. Pacino smiled, thanked him, and walked on. The moment lasted seconds. It stayed with Sam for years. A reminder of what true presence looks like. Despite encounters like that, Sam is almost disarmingly unpretentious when it comes to travel. He admits something that drives his friends and family mad. He hates arriving early. Trains, flights, it doesn't matter. He times it as tightly as possible. He wants to walk in, step on, and go. Waiting feels wrong to him. Almost physically uncomfortable. He travels light, sometimes too light. He dislikes luggage and avoids it whenever he can, even if it means realizing later that he's forgotten something important. He'll grab a coffee at the last minute, sit down with every intention of working, and more often than not, fall asleep instead. His snack habits surprise people. Mostly healthy, with the occasional indulgence. A long train ride through Scotland, he says, pairs beautifully with a small drink. A gin and tonic, a craft beer, a modest whiskey, especially when the scenery outside is doing most of the talking. Food is practical. Nuts. A salad. Something quick from a shop before boarding. Biscuits, rarely. Crisps, only salt and vinegar. Shortbread doesn't make the cut. Music is another surprise. Despite loving it, Sam rarely listens to it while traveling or even while running. He prefers the quiet, the space to think. For him, movement without music isn't escape. It's processing. Karaoke, on the other hand, is firmly not his world. He's tried, he admits, but being surrounded by genuinely good singers ruins the fun. It stops being playful and turns into a competition. He jokes about singing Ronan Keating's When You Say Nothing at All, or 500 Miles, on a trip through New Zealand with Graham McTavish, but insists he's no singer. Just a little jealous. As for travel rules, his philosophy is simple. Pack less. Drink more water. Always bring workout gear. Running shoes are essential. Scripts and an iPad go in the bag. Electrolytes are non-negotiable, especially on long flights. He jokes that planes dry him out, though the whiskey probably doesn't help. One of his strangest travel moments came after returning from Nepal. He was pulled aside at the airport, convinced he was in serious trouble. In his checked bag was a large cookery knife, a traditional Gurkha blade. But that wasn't the issue. Security was worried about a battery charger. The knife stayed. The charger was confiscated. Different rules, different places. When asked about locations that truly changed him, Sam doesn't hesitate. Nepal, Everest, the Himalayas. It wasn't just a journey. It reshaped how he sees the world. He plans to return one day, this time on a motorcycle ride from India toward the Himalayan plateau, if circumstances allow. Riding, like running, gives him space. No music, just movement and landscape and thought. Despite all that motion, Sam admits something that feels almost contradictory. He's terrible at doing nothing. Holidays need activity. Surfing frustrated him. Yoga, unexpectedly, became a refuge, especially in New York and Bali. Lying on a beach works for half a day at most. After that, curiosity takes over. For Sam Heughan, rest doesn't mean stopping. It means moving differently. And maybe that's the most revealing truth of all.